All right, so what we're looking at now is that we're going to be looking at how to solve square roots and other roots, any type of expression that has, or equation with a radical in it. We're going to be looking at how to solve these. Okay, that's what we're doing today. So when you're solving it, what you want to do is you want to put the radical all by itself onto one side, and then multiply both sides by the reciprocal of the exponent. Okay. So you might want to put the radical into an exponent and then multiply by its reciprocal. You want to make sure that you have one radical on each side. Okay, you want it to be on one side so that you can get rid of the radical. Otherwise, you might not be able to get rid of the radical right away, and you have to do another calculation on top of it. Okay, so looking at this one. So we have 2 parenthesis x minus 2 to the 2/3 equals 50, and we want to solve for x. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of this 2 because we want to get the power, this whole thing all by itself. So we divide both sides by 2. Okay, that gets us an x minus 2 to the 2/3 is equal to 25. All right. Now after that, we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of this power. The reciprocal of this power would be 3/2. So multiply this by 3/2. Now, if you go 2/3 times 3/2, that gets you 1. That gets you just x minus 2. Done. And now we would take 3/2, or 25 to the 3/2, which would be the square root of 25, which is 5, and then we would cube it, which would get us a 125. So this is equal to 125. And now you would add 2, which means x is equal to 127. So x is equal to 127, and that would be our solution. Okay. So as you see, you want to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of whatever the power is you have all by itself. Okay. And that gets us our answers. Oh, plus or minus. So it would be plus or minus because you took a square root. The square root makes it plus or minus. Okay. All right, now looking at this one, first thing we want to do is get rid of this number that's outside of it. So we would move this to the other side by subtracting. Now, how do you get rid of a square root? You square both sides. So we would square this whole side. That gets us a 5x minus 1 is equal to, now we've got to FOIL this, which would be x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, and that's from FOILing that. Now from there, we would move everything to one side. So add 1, subtract 5x, add 1. That gets us an x squared minus 11x plus 10. Now, this is equal to 0. Now, what will we do? Well, going back to what we did previously with factoring, what two numbers multiplied together gets you a 10, added together gets you a negative 11. X minus 1, x minus 10. Okay, so that means our answers would be x equals 1 and x equals 10. Now, are those actual solutions? That's the question. And so what we do is that we take both of these and we plug them back into the original, both of the original problems. Okay, when we plug in a 10, we get 50. 50 minus 1, 49. Square root of 49 is 7. 7 plus 3, does that equal 10? Yes. So 10 works. And now we plug in a 1. Square root of 5 minus 1, which would be square root of 4, plus 3, does that get you 1? That would be 2 plus 3. That would be 5 is equal to 1. No, it's not. So 1 is not our answer. So our only answer would be x equals 10. What you're going to have to do is check your answers to make sure they work. So after you get your solutions, you plug them back in to see if they work. Especially with problems that look like this, where you have a variable on both sides, you will almost always have to plug in both answers to see which ones work. Sometimes one works, sometimes both work, sometimes neither of them work. So you'll have to check both of them. All right. So now here, if we have this one, what we're going to do is that we're going to move this onto the other side. Okay. And that gets us a 2x plus 1 to the 1/2. I'm going to put back in the fractions because fractions are easier to deal with these. Equals 3x plus 4 to the 1/4 equals 0. Oh no, it's not going to equal 0. Now, what do we have to multiply to get rid of fraction on both of these? Well, we're going to multiply both of them by 4. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to get rid of both fractions. Now, when I multiply this one by 4, I get 2x plus 1 squared is equal to 3x plus 4. Okay. This one, 4 times 1/4 is 1. 4 times 1/2 is 2. I would distribute and I would FOIL this through, getting me a 4x squared plus 4x plus 1, and that equals 3x plus 4. Move numbers onto the other side, getting me a 4x squared plus 7x plus 5. Oh, no. No. It would not be this. It would be a plus x minus 3. Okay. Because I'm subtracting 4 and I'm subtracting 3x. All right. 4 times 3 is a negative 12. Two numbers multiplied together get you a negative 12. Added together get you a positive 1. We've got 12 and 1. We've got 6 and 2. And we've got 4 and 3. It's going to be 4 and 3, the last one. So that means we have 4x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 3. Take out an x, 4x minus 3. Take out a 1, 4x minus 3. So that means our answers would be x plus 1 and 4x minus 3. So when we solve each of these, we get x equals a negative 1 and we get x equals 3/4. So now we've got to plug them back in and see if we get the same answer. When we plug in a negative 1, we get a negative 2 plus 1. That's negative 1. Can you take the square root of a negative 1? No, it's not a real number, which means 1 will not work. Now when we plug in 3/4, we end up getting about 3/6. 3/4 ends up working out pretty nicely. And 3/4 is our answer. Okay, so x equals 3/4 would be your only solution in this case, because the other one comes up with a imaginary number, which is not real. And we're only dealing with real numbers for this chapter, or for the sections. All right, so for your IRAT, what you're going to do is you're going to solve each of these. Okay, so again, get the radical all by itself. And then you're going to get rid of the radical, multiply it by its reciprocal, whatever the power is, multiply it by its reciprocal. And then check your answers to make sure they work, because if they don't work, it's not a solution. Okay. So when you get your answers, plug them back into the original and solve them through. So here's your 3, solve each of these, and you'll be good.